It all began on a Tuesday night. Tuesdays were our routine. The one evening every week when Lauren and I tried to act like we were still the same couple who had fallen hard for each other 4 years earlier. No work distractions. No outside noise. Just us, a meal, and a small wooden table squeezed into our apartment. That night, I went all out. I spent more than an hour in the kitchen making her favorite roast chicken. I got the skin just right, crispy the way she always talked about how her mom used to make it before she passed away. I even ironed the cloth napkins that morning before work. That is not something I normally do. I lit candles too, because once, a long time ago, she said candlelight made things feel more romantic. I remembered that. I always remembered things like that. Lauren walked in at 7:30 in the evening with her phone pressed to her ear, laughing at something on the other end. Her expensive heels clicked across the hardwood floor, sharp and fast, and she barely looked at the table I had set so carefully. She walked straight past it and into the bedroom, still talking. Her voice floated through the apartment, like background noise from a room I was no longer welcome in. Then I heard it. I know, right? That is exactly what I said. He is sweet. That one word stayed hanging in the air. Sweet. I slowly set the serving spoon down on the counter. I noticed my hands were steady, which surprised me. Inside, though, my chest felt tight, like someone had pulled a strap around it. My throat closed up, and I could not have spoken even if I wanted to. She came back out about 10 minutes later. The call was over. The phone slid into her back pocket like nothing had happened. She gave me that smile she always used when she needed something or was about to smooth over an uncomfortable moment. Sorry about that, she said, sitting down. Amanda was freaking out again. You know how she is. I nodded. I poured her a glass of wine. I served her plate first, the way I always did. She took a bite, made a small pleased sound, and for just a second, I wondered if I had imagined that word. Maybe I heard it wrong. This is really good, she said. You nailed it. Honestly, you should cook more. You are way better at it than I am. I smiled, but it felt fake, like I had put on a mask that did not quite fit. You have been busy, I said. She laughed. You have no idea. Work has been insane, and planning this birthday thing is taking over my life. Amanda and the girls have opinions about everything. The place, the theme, the guest list. It is exhausting. Her birthday was 3 weeks away. She had no idea that for months I had been planning a surprise. A trip to the coast. A stay at that small boutique hotel she had saved on Instagram. Dinner reservations at the same restaurant where we had our first date. I had even bought the ring 2 months earlier. Platinum. 1 diamond. Simple and clean. Exactly the kind she had pointed out in a jewelry store window last spring when she thought I was not paying attention. I am sure it will be perfect, I said. It has to be, she replied, leaning forward. Her eyes were bright, half excited and half stressed. Everyone is coming. All my friends, people from work. It is going to be huge. That sounds like a lot of pressure, I said. It is. She paused and pushed food around her plate instead of eating it. Actually, there is something I wanted to talk to you about. My stomach sank. Her voice had changed. Flat. Careful. She would not quite look at me. I knew that tone. It was the tone people used when they were about to hurt you, but wanted credit for being gentle. Okay, I said. She took a sip of wine, set the glass down, and finally met my eyes. So, the girls have been asking about you. About us. And I have been thinking. I do not know how to say this without sounding awful. Just say it, I told her. She let out a long breath, like she had been holding it in for a while. They think you are not impressive enough for me. The words hit the table between us, heavy and solid, like rocks dropped into water. Everything went quiet in my head. I could not speak. My mind tried to rearrange what she had said into something that made sense, but it would not stick. I mean, they like you, she rushed on. They think you are kind and dependable. Sweet. But they think I could do better. That I should aim higher. Higher. I repeated. The word tasted bad in my mouth. You know what I mean, she said. Someone more ambitious. Someone with more presence. Someone who really stands out when they walk into a room. I looked at her across that candlelit table. The woman I had loved for 4 years. The woman whose opinion mattered more to me than almost anyone else. And in that moment, she felt like a stranger. Someone who could sit there, eating a meal I worked hard to make, and tell me I was not enough, all because her friends' voices were louder than her own. And what do you think? I asked. My voice sounded calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes right before something breaks. She hesitated. I think, she said slowly, I think they might be right. There it was. The truth she had been circling, hiding behind other people so she would not have to own it herself. But I heard it clearly now. She agreed with them. Maybe she always had. I see, I said. But do not be like that, she added quickly, her voice turning defensive. I am just being honest, she said. Isn't that what we are supposed to do? You are right, I answered. Honesty matters. That seemed to calm her. She leaned back a little, like my words had taken weight off her shoulders. She misunderstood me. She thought agreement meant acceptance. I knew you would get it, she said. You are always so understanding. That is one of the things I love about you. Then she paused, choosing her words carefully. But I think I need to see what else is out there. I need to find someone who fits better with where my life is going. The candle flames danced between us. Outside, I could hear traffic rolling by, a siren somewhere far off, the normal sounds of a city living its normal night. Inside that apartment, something was quietly ending. Then go, I said. Aim higher. Explore. Find someone more impressive. She blinked, clearly not expecting that. What? Go ahead, I repeated. You are ending this. I am just agreeing with you. That is not what I said, she snapped. I just think we need to talk about our future. We just did, I said. I stood up and started clearing the plates, stacking them neatly. My voice stayed steady. I think we are done talking. You are being dramatic, she said. Am I? I turned and really looked at her. I searched her face, trying to find the woman I fell in love with. The woman who used to laugh easily. The woman who once said she wanted a simple life with someone dependable. All I saw was someone sitting at my table in expensive shoes, telling me I was not enough. I could not find the person I loved. Maybe she was never real. Maybe I had fallen in love with an idea. I understand exactly what you think, I said. Your friends made it clear. And you agree with them. So let's not stretch this out. She stood up fast, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. Fine, she said. Maybe I will find someone better. Good luck, I replied. I meant it the way you wish someone luck when you know they are about to learn a hard lesson. She grabbed her purse, her keys, and her phone. At the door, she hesitated. She stood there like she expected me to stop her, like she expected me to apologize for not being impressive enough. I did not move. She left. The door closed with a soft click, and that sound felt final. I stood alone in the kitchen for a long time, staring at the candles burning down, the wine glasses, the food I had cooked. Then I walked into my home office, opened my laptop, and got to work. First call. The Coastal Hotel reservation. Canceled. Full refund. They were polite about it. Next call. The restaurant reservation. Canceled. The helicopter tour I had planned as a surprise. Canceled. Then there was the birthday venue. The one she thought she and her friends had been organizing. The one I had quietly put a deposit on 2 months earlier after she casually mentioned liking it. That one stayed. I just changed the guest list. After that, I opened my desk drawer and took out the ring box. I placed it on top of a thick folder I had been keeping for 6 months. That folder held contracts, financial statements, and documents. Proof. Numbers that told a story she never knew existed. My phone buzzed. A message from my business partner, Brian. Board meeting moved to next week. They want the full presentation. Are you ready? I looked at the ring. I looked at the folder. I looked at the remains of a life where I had stayed small because I thought that was what she wanted. Stable. Predictable. Safe. More than ready. I typed back. Here is what Lauren never knew. 2 years earlier, Brian and I started a software company. We built a data analytics platform in his garage. Nights. Weekends. Long hours after our regular jobs. It was supposed to be a side project. Something that might work. Something that might fail. 6 months ago, everything changed. A major corporation reached out. A Fortune 500 company. They wanted to license our software and integrate it across their entire operation. The numbers they talked about did not feel real at first. We signed the licensing deal. We stayed independent. And just like that, our small side project started pulling in 7-figure revenue. I wanted to tell her. I planned to tell her on her birthday. I imagined proposing with the ring and telling her the truth at the same time. That the job she thought I had was just cover. That we could build whatever life she wanted. But that kind of moment needs trust. Somewhere along the way, without me noticing, I stopped trusting her with the parts of me that mattered most. I closed the laptop, turned off the lights, went to bed. I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I woke up to silence. Not the peaceful kind that comes from sharing space, but the hollow kind. The apartment felt bigger, like the walls had stretched overnight. I got up, made coffee, opened my laptop. There was work to do. Breakups are not dramatic. They are administrative. A checklist. A series of small steps that add up to a clean break. I started with the apartment. It was always in my name. I called the landlord about early termination. He sounded surprised but did not pry. Next came utilities, subscriptions, streaming services she had added under my accounts. I transferred or canceled everything. Then I went through my phone and deleted the photos. Not out of anger. Out of necessity. There was no reason to keep proof of something that was never real. My phone buzzed again. A message from her. Can we talk? I stared at the screen for a long time, already knowing exactly how that conversation would go. She wanted to explain it. Break it down. Add context. She expected me to still be there, waiting, open to being talked back into place. I was not. I deleted the message and blocked her number. Then I called my lawyer. Thomas, I said when he answered. I need to move some things around. Can we meet today? 11 works, he said. Perfect. Thomas had been my attorney for 3 years, ever since the company started becoming real. He was expensive, sharp, and quiet. Exactly what I needed. His office was downtown in one of those glass towers that scrape the sky. I usually met him after hours, never during the day, never when Lauren might ask where I was going. When I sat down across from him, he got straight to it. So, what's going on? The relationship ended, I said. I need to separate everything. Make sure there's no financial overlap. Was she aware of the company? He asked. No. He nodded once. No judgment. No curiosity. Then this should be clean. We spent over an hour going through accounts, property, investments. Numbers that had grown quietly in the background while I played the role of predictable boyfriend. Thomas took careful notes, asked questions, double-checked details. One more thing, I said as we wrapped up. There's a birthday event in 2 weeks. Saturday the 15th. I paid the deposit on the venue. I want to keep it, but I need to change some things. He looked at me closely. What kind of changes? I explained. His face stayed professional, but I saw a slight curve at the corner of his mouth. Not amusement. Respect. That's clean, he said. Possibly therapeutic. Definitely effective. Is it legal? You are hosting an event you paid for. You are inviting people. And you are presenting factual information. I see no legal issue. Good. As the elevator dropped 40 floors, I felt lighter with each one. Like I was shedding a version of myself that had been shrinking for too long. My phone rang. Is this Mr. Thompson? A woman asked. Yes. This is Rebecca from Highlands Resort. I'm calling to confirm your reservation for the 22nd. The trip. I had forgotten about it. I need to cancel, I said. What's the refund policy? You booked the premium package. It is fully refundable up to 48 hours before check-in. I can process it now. Please do. That night, I went to the real office. Not the corporate job where I wore a mask and collected a steady paycheck. The real place. The warehouse in the arts district that Brian and I had turned into headquarters. Exposed brick. Standing desks. Whiteboards covered in code and diagrams. 6 employees, all sharp, all hungry, building something that mattered. Brian looked up when I walked in. Hey, I thought you weren't coming today. Plans changed. I told him enough. The dinner. The comments. Her friends. Her agreement. The end. Man, he said quietly, that's rough. It is what it is. You okay? Better than I expected. He studied me for a second. So what now? You finally going to stop hiding this place? I had told Brian from the start why I kept the company quiet. He understood, but never agreed with it. Yeah, I said. I think it's time. About time, he said. We've got that board meeting next week. Investors are talking second-round funding. We could be looking at 10 times our current valuation. I knew exactly what that meant. So, he grinned. You finally going to stop living like a monk and buy yourself something decent? I thought about the apartment I was leaving. The careful life. The way I had folded myself smaller to fit someone else's expectations. First, I said, I need to close a few doors. The next 2 weeks passed quietly. I went to both jobs. Lived in the space between what was over and what was coming. She tried calling from different numbers. I never picked up. She showed up at the apartment once. I was already mostly moved out. You're really doing this? She asked, looking at the half-empty room. It wasn't a discussion, I said. It was a revelation. She shook her head. Her eyes were bright. Tears, maybe. Anger, maybe. You're being childish, she said. Throwing away 4 years because your feelings got hurt. Goodbye, I said. I closed the door. The night before the party, I could not sleep. I lay in my new apartment downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows. City lights. The kind of place I always wanted but never allowed myself to have. I stared at the ceiling and thought about what morning would bring. At 3:47 in the morning, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I knew who it was anyway. Please pick up, she said, already crying. Please. Something happened at the venue. It's about you. You need to know. I'm listening, I said. We're here for the final walkthrough, said Ashley, her best friend. One of the voices that decided I wasn't impressive enough. They showed us the seating chart. The guest list. She paused. Your name is on it, she said. Not as her guest. As the host. Silence filled the line. I don't understand what that means, she said. But I could hear it in her voice. She was starting to. She kept talking, her words coming faster now. She told us she was the one hosting. She said she planned everything. But the venue manager kept thanking you. Kept saying how generous you were. And then she showed us the invoice. What did the invoice say? I asked. There was a long pause. Everything, Olivia whispered. The deposit you put down 3 months ago. The premium package she said she negotiated. The open bar, the catering, the disc jockey. It is all in your name. You paid for everything. I did. But she told us she was paying for it herself. Olivia said, her voice shaking. She said you were not even invited. I wasn't, I said. She uninvited me 2 weeks ago. Same night she decided I wasn't impressive enough. The sound Olivia made was half gasp, half sob. Oh my God. That conversation, she said. We were at dinner talking about relationships. We were running our mouths. I said things. Stupid things. I didn't mean it like that. We were just talking trash the way friends do. I never thought she would take it seriously. She did, I said. She agreed with you. Used it as a reason to end it. So whatever guilt you're feeling right now, you probably earned it. She was crying openly now. I'm so sorry, she said. We were wrong. All of us. And now the venue manager is asking if you're coming tomorrow. I don't know what to tell her. I stood up and walked to the window. 43 floors below, the city was still moving, still busy, still alive. Tell her I'll be there, I said. And Olivia, tell the others too. Tell all her friends. Tell them to pay attention tomorrow. They're about to learn something important about assumptions. What are you going to do? She asked. I'm going to give a toast, I said. Then I ended the call. The morning of her birthday was clear and cold. I stood in front of my closet and chose a suit. Not the cheap one I wore to corporate events. I picked the charcoal gray Tom Ford. Perfectly tailored. The kind of suit that says you belong in rooms where decisions are made. White shirt. Smoke-colored tie. Shoes that cost more than most people's rent. I looked at myself in the mirror. Same face. Different posture. I stood straighter. I wasn't apologizing to my own reflection anymore. The venue was a converted warehouse. Exposed brick. War medicine lights. Exactly the place she always said she wanted. I booked it 6 months earlier, back when I thought we would be celebrating together. I arrived early. Staff were still setting up tables and lighting. The venue manager spotted me and walked over, relief and nerves written all over her face. Mr. Thompson, she said, we weren't sure you were still attending. I am, I said, and I need to make a small change to the schedule. Of course. I'd like to give a toast right after dinner, I said. We'll need a microphone and a screen for a short presentation. A presentation? She asked. Just a few slides, I said. Nothing complicated. I pulled a flash drive from my pocket. Everything's here. Should we check with the guest of honor? She asked carefully. It's a surprise, I said, smiling just enough to end the questions. Guests started arriving around 7 in the evening. I watched from the bar. Her friends came in first, whispering and avoiding eye contact. Then co-workers, laughing and unaware. At exactly 7:30, Lauren walked in. She was wearing a red dress I had never seen before. Expensive, designed to command attention. She stepped inside expecting applause, and slowly the room delivered it. Clapping, cheers, birthday wishes. She didn't see me at first, but Olivia did. Our eyes met across the room. Her face fell apart for just a second before she looked away. Dinner was served at 8. 3 courses, every dish chosen by me months earlier. I sat alone at a back table, quiet, while conversation flowed around me. Lauren noticed me during the main course. I watched her eyes scan the room and land on me. I saw the shock. I saw her mouth my name. I saw her half stand, freeze, and sit back down. She leaned toward Olivia, said something. Olivia shook her head and stared at her plate. Dessert plates were cleared. The lights dimmed. The venue manager brought out the microphone and nodded toward me. The room went silent. People turned, confused, curious. I stepped forward. Hi, I said into the microphone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Daniel Thompson. I was in a relationship with the birthday girl for 4 years. That ended 2 weeks ago. A low ripple moved through the crowd. I'm not here to ruin anyone's night, I continued. I'm here because I paid for this party, and I think everyone deserves to know the truth. Lauren had gone pale. Her hands gripped the edge of the table. I booked this venue in August, I said. I paid for everything you've seen tonight. The food, the bar, the music. I did it because I loved her and wanted her to have the birthday she deserved. The screen behind me lit up. First slide. The venue invoice. My name at the top. The amount paid. The date. 3 months earlier. Next slide. Receipts. For years' worth. Dinners. Gifts. Trips. Vacations. All dated. All documented. This isn't everything, I said. That would take all night. But it's enough to show a pattern. I looked around the room. I'm not showing this to prove I'm generous, I said. I'm showing it to prove I was present. Invested. Committed. Her friends were staring at her now. I clicked to the next slide. The next slide came up on the screen. It was a photo of Lauren from 2 weeks earlier. The night she sat across from me and told me I was not impressive enough. 2 weeks ago, I said calmly. She told me her friends thought I wasn't impressive enough for her, that she should aim higher. I let that sit. And you know what? She was right to listen to them, because I clearly failed to show her the full picture of who I really was. I clicked again. Final slide. My company logo filled the screen. TechVault Solutions. Under it was a press release. Valuation numbers. Growth projections. Headlines. I'm the co-founder and chief executive officer of TechVault Solutions, I said. We're a data analytics company currently valued at $43 million. 6 months ago, we signed a licensing deal with a Fortune 500 company. We're now looking at acquisition offers that could increase that value 10 times within the next year. The room went completely silent. No whispers. No movement. I could hear my own breathing. I never told her, I continued, because I wanted to build something real first. I wanted to know it wasn't luck, or timing, or a fluke. I paused, and I was planning to tell her tonight. This was supposed to be a birthday surprise. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring box. I held it up so everyone could see. I was going to propose. Lauren's face collapsed. But 2 weeks ago, I said, she told me I wasn't enough. I closed the box. So instead of a proposal, you got a presentation. Instead of celebrating our future, you got the truth about our past. I looked around the room one last time. And the truth is this. I was impressive the whole time. I just never needed to announce it to feel valuable. I set the microphone down and walked toward the exit. Behind me, everything exploded. Chairs scraped. Voices rose. Someone started crying. But I didn't turn around. I was done looking back. Olivia caught up with me in the parking lot, out of breath. Wait, she said. Please. Just wait. What? I asked. I'm sorry, she said. For everything. For not knowing. For underestimating you. It's over, I said quietly. What happens next is up to her. And all of you. I got in my car and drove away. I drove for an hour with no destination. Just movement. Just space. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls. Messages. Notifications stacking on top of each other. I ignored all of it. Eventually, I checked. 47 missed calls. 62 text messages. 3 voicemails. Most were from Lauren. Some from her friends. 1 voicemail was from the venue manager. The party ended early, she said. After you left, there was a lot of discussion. The guest of honor decided to leave. I just wanted to check in and make sure you're okay. What you did tonight was something. Another voicemail came from Brian. Man, I don't know what you did, he said, laughing in disbelief. But my phone is blowing up. People from that party are sending LinkedIn requests, asking about the company. Whatever happened, it's making waves. The third voicemail was from Olivia, recorded more than an hour after her first call. I know you probably don't want to hear this, she said, but you should know what happened after you left. She tried to explain it away, said you were exaggerating, said the company wasn't really yours. There was a pause, but I pulled up the press release. Then the Forbes article. Your picture was right there. Chief Executive Officer. Co-founder. Everyone just stared at her. Another pause. She kept trying to explain. Then someone asked why you'd hide success unless you didn't trust her. Someone else asked if she'd ever even asked about your work. She couldn't answer. Her voice dropped. She's been calling me all night crying. But I don't think she's crying because she hurt you. I think she's crying because she got caught underestimating you. I sat in my car by the waterfront, watching city lights shimmer across the water, and thought about the difference between regret and remorse. Regret is about yourself. The consequences you're facing. the image you've lost. Remorse is about the other person, the pain you caused. She was full of regret, not remorse. I finally opened her messages and read them in order. Confusion turned into anger. Anger turned into panic. Panic turned into something that looked like grief, but felt more like self-pity. Every message was about her embarrassment, her pain, her shock. Not once did she ask how I felt. Not once did she acknowledge what she'd done to me. I deleted every message. 3 weeks later, the Forbes article went live. The Invisible Chief Executive Officer. How Daniel Thompson built a $43 million company while everyone looked the other way. It went viral. By noon, our website crashed from traffic. Tech blogs picked it up. Podcasts called. Investors followed. Some people praised me. Others said I went too far, that it was petty, that it was unnecessary. A few questioned whether someone who made such a public statement was stable enough to run a company. But underneath all of it, there was something else. Recognition. The sense that I had done what a lot of people only dream about. I proved wrong everyone who ever underestimated me. That same week, a woman named Hannah reached out. She worked in marketing. She knew Lauren through work. We met at a quiet coffee shop downtown. I've known her for 3 years, Hannah said. She looked at me and took a slow breath. There's something I need to tell you, she said. Something I should have said a long time ago. I didn't, because back then, I didn't really know you existed. Not the real you. Go ahead, I said. She didn't sugarcoat it. She talked about you at work. A lot. And she always talked you down. Little comments that sounded harmless on their own, but stacked up over time. My chest tightened, but I stayed quiet. She'd say things like, my boyfriend isn't ambitious, or he's sweet, but kind of boring. She'd say you had a decent job, but nothing special. The way she described you made it sound like you were temporary, like she was settling until something better showed up. The words hit with a dull kind of pain, not shock, confirmation. And none of us questioned it, she continued, because we believed her version. When she talked about trips, she'd say she paid. When she talked about the apartment, she implied it was hers. She always positioned herself as the one with money, taste, and drive. You were just there. She pulled out her phone and turned the screen toward me. Work messages. Her name at the top. Taking my boyfriend to this new restaurant I found. He's not really into food, but I'm trying to broaden his horizons. Sometimes it feels like I'm dating a kid. Below it, laughing emojis. Comments agreeing. Encouraging her. You deserve someone on your level. There are dozens of messages like this, Maya said. Maybe hundreds. Years of little digs. Little put-downs. All painting you as someone she had to elevate. I swallowed. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I've lived it, she said. My ex spent 5 years telling people I was difficult while he was cheating. When someone controls the story about who you are, it's a kind of violence. You deserve to know how far it went. How bad was it? I asked. Bad enough that after Saturday night, half the office was texting about it by midnight, she said. Bad enough that yesterday, she went to human resources claiming a hostile work environment. I raised an eyebrow. And she said people were treating her unfairly because of her personal life. That she was being judged. And what did human resources say? Maya gave a tight smile. They said lying about finances and taking credit for things someone else paid for isn't protected. And they said people are allowed to form opinions based on publicly available facts. So what happens now? They're investigating. Turns out this wasn't the only thing. She's been taking credit for other people's work for over a year. The party just made people start looking. A week later, I heard she was let go. Not because of me. Because once the story cracked, everything else came apart. Around the same time, Summit Capital reached out. Brian and I met with them in a clean glass conference room overlooking the city. The lead partner, Linda Chun, sat across from us with her team. Before we started, she spoke plainly. I want to address something first. You've had a very public personal situation. Some of my partners are concerned about stability. Can you speak to that? Yes, I said. What happened was the result of living inside a false story. I made myself smaller because I thought that's what keeping a relationship required. When that story collapsed, it was painful in public, but it was necessary. You can't build something great while pretending to be less than you are. I clicked to the next slide. Growth charts. Revenue. Projections. I spent 2 years building this company quietly. That phase is over. We're ready to be visible. Ready to scale. Ready to become what we always had the potential to be. She studied me for a long moment. And you believe you're ready to be the public face of a company that could be worth $500 million in 3 years? I don't believe it, I said. I know it. Because I already did the hardest part. I built something real without attention, without resources, and without applause. We presented for an hour and a half. When we finished, Linda stood and walked to the window. You know what impressed me most about that article? She said. Not the party. The fact that you were profitable from year one. You bootstrapped everything and kept control. That kind of discipline tells me you're not just smart. You're strategic. She turned back. We're going to make you an offer. A serious one. I can already tell you we're looking at a valuation north of $100 million. The deal closed at $127 million, with milestones that could push it past $200 million within 2 years. Brian and I both cried when we signed. A few months later, I stood on a stage in front of 2,000 people at a tech conference. I talked about building quietly, about choosing truth over comfortable lies, about how being impressive has nothing to do with volume and everything to do with substance. I told them this. The moment people stop underestimating you is usually the moment you stop hiding who you are. After everything wrapped up, Olivia found me. She looked different. Shorter hair, simple clothes, no armor. Thanks for seeing me, she said. I wanted to understand what you've been building. We stepped into a quiet corner away from the noise. I've been thinking a lot about that phone call after the party, she said, and I realized something uncomfortable. Even then, I was still making it about my guilt instead of the damage. I waited. So, I want to say this clearly, she continued. I'm sorry for helping create an environment where she felt comfortable tearing you down. We reinforced her worst habits instead of challenging them. Thank you, I said. I meant it. She keeps texting me, Olivia added, asking me to help her get you back, saying she's changed. I won't do it. Why not? Because she hasn't changed, she said. She's just gotten better at acting like she has. 3 months later, I was standing inside a building I had just bought for TechVault's new headquarters. 200 employees. New offices opening in New York and Austin. Revenue projections that made even confident people nervous in the best way. That's when Lauren showed up. She looked smaller, thinner, like someone who had been carrying weight for too long. Hi, she said quietly. I'm sorry to just show up. You block my number. You don't respond to emails. I needed to see you. How did you find me? I asked. She gave a weak smile. It's not exactly hard. Forbes, TechCrunch, Bloomberg, you're everywhere. If you came for closure, I said, I gave you that months ago. I know. She stepped closer. I didn't. I kept thinking if I could just explain things right, you'd give me another chance. She shook her head. But that's not why I'm here anymore. I'm here because I need to say something. And then I need to let you go. For real. Okay. I've spent 6 months trying to understand what I did, she said. Not just to you. To myself. How I became someone who measures people like products. Who takes credit for things I didn't earn. Who tears down the person closest to me just to quiet my own insecurity. And did you figure it out? I asked. Some of it, she said. I grew up being told I had to be exceptional to matter. So I learned to look exceptional by making everyone else look ordinary. She swallowed. With you, it was easy. You were hiding how extraordinary you were. I didn't have to push you down. You'd already done that. I just kept the illusion going. She wiped her eyes. But here's what I finally understand. Real worth doesn't come from shrinking other people. Real confidence doesn't need constant applause. And real love sees clearly and chooses anyway. That's good insight, I said. I'm glad you're getting there. I am, she nodded. But not fast enough. Or maybe I am. Either way, it doesn't matter. The person I'm becoming is someone I should have been before I met you. She stopped herself, then smiled sadly. The person you end up with is going to get the version of you that knows his worth. They won't have to help you see yourself clearly. You already do. What are you saying? I asked. I'm saying I lost my chance, she said. I had 4 years to really see you. To ask questions. To build something honest. Instead, I chose comfortable lies over hard truth. And I destroyed what we had. I hope you keep growing, I said. But that work isn't mine anymore. It's yours. I know. She picked up her purse. One last thing, she said. I've been correcting the record. Telling people who actually paid for what. Talking honestly about the company you were building while I was calling you average. Thank you. And Daniel, she added, I really am happy for you. For what you built. For who you became. You deserve it. She paused at the door. You know the worst part? She said quietly. I look at what you've built and realize I could have been part of it. But I was so afraid of your potential that I never thought about my own. We'll both live with it, I said. Living gets easier. She nodded once and left. That weekend, I drove up the coast and rented a small house on a cliff overlooking the ocean. I did nothing for 2 days. I read. I walked the beach. I drank coffee and watched the light change. Sunday morning, I woke before sunrise and walked down to the shore. The sand was cold. The sky was purple and gray, holding its breath. I stood there alone, thinking about the past year. My phone buzzed. A message from Linda at Summit Capital. Board wants to talk about international expansion. London and Singapore. Interested in going global? I watched the sun break the horizon. This was it. This was the life I built by refusing to stay small, by choosing truth over comfort, by deciding that being seen was worth the risk. Very interested, I typed back. Let's talk Monday. The sun turned everything gold. Behind me, the beach filled with people. Families, surfers, couples holding hands. Life going on. Mine had become extraordinary, not because I changed who I was, but because I finally stopped asking permission to live at full volume. If you've ever felt invisible in your own life, if you've ever made yourself smaller for someone else's comfort, remember this. The truth always finds the surface. And when it does, the only real question is whether you'll stand in it. Choose truth. Choose yourself. The world will adjust.